Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall, and all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Well, Tun Mahathir is not Humpty Dumpty, but nonetheless, we're witnessing the fall of Mahathir Mohamad. So poops, Tun just had a literal fall. I think the metaphorical one is ongoing. Every time he looks at Singapore, the whoa. Anyway, yeah, he fell and he broke his right hip. It's all over social media right now. You can look at the stories coming out one after another like mushrooms after the rain. Here, and here. And if you go on Instagram right now and look at all the Instagram stories, there are multiple people sharing get well soon. So you might be all like, oh well, they are just trying to bodek him. Allah, he just fell down, only no problem. But so then maybe what you don't know is that a hip fracture is really fucking bad. It's literally to the point that if an old person gets a hip fracture, then the chance of them dying over the course of the year is like more than 20%. You can call it an 80% chance that he's going to survive over the course of the next year or something like that. But yeah, same thing. And the big reason for that is because if you actually get a hip fracture from your hashtag puato, then you literally cannot move. You're lying in bed every single day, staring at the ceiling, getting surgery after surgery. And if you're literally that old, it's going to be stressing out your body, your bones, your heart. Every single part of you is going to be working on overdrive to the extent that your system allows to actually try and fix the situation. So I mean, it's not surprising that a lot of people have been saying dark things recently, which I personally don't encourage because I don't think you should be wishing for the death of a person just because you don't like them, controversial as they may be. So yeah, personally I'm not wishing for him to come to harm or anything because like he's been nice to me and I scold him quite a fair bit, but yeah, I don't wish harm to him or his family. But you know, as we think back on that history and his health situation, I remember the last time that we talked, partly because we talked about mortality and death, a whole long conversation where I asked him, hey, are you scared of dying? It feels to me that I might actually be one of the only people who has literally asked this question to this man's face, let alone the only Malaysian-Chinese person to actually do that, but he answered it gracefully, and I'm like, aight, okay. I can imagine it must be a terrifying or sad thing for a person of any age to go through though. It doesn't mean that like just cause you're old then you're like any less scared of dying. I wouldn't begrudge you if you were like terrified out of your mind. But you know, I talked with someone about this for about an hour just the other day and we agreed, right, that come on, the guy's already 100. So like, what do you expect? Of course you're gonna have health problems like this. Of course you're gonna have trouble that comes one way or another. And honestly, if you think about everything that happened, sure, he has all of these attachments to the colonial Malays and everything. But dude, like, 100 years on the planet, you not only lived for that 100 years, but you also brought along your loved one with you for all of those 100 years, outliving your friends, your enemies, everybody else on the planet out there. Prime Minister one time, Prime Minister another time. People remember you for monument after monument. Like, come on man, how many people in the world can have that? Okay, but maybe that's like speaking too soon because we don't know if he's actually going to pass on. Still got that fight in him, I'm sure, but wow, like, if he actually doesn't die, then that's gonna be like actually super amazing. That's what not eating until you're full does for you. Although I guess the guy also does have access to special medical treatment. I mean, like, I have like some friends who have known the guy for a long time, and this might be completely fake, but apparently the guy goes over to Switzerland to have sheep placenta stem cell treatment or stuff like that, and you could speculate about the hundreds of different ways that he actually improves his health. I don't know if he does like a whole Brian Johnson blood injection thing, but instead of his son, he uses Sanik's blood. But yeah, I mean, there was a whole Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin discussion about replacing all the organs in their bodies thing. And hey, maybe Mahathir wants to get in on that, who knows? Or maybe he wants to just like upload his mind onto the internet so he can live forever in the digital realm. Also a possibility.
Although hip surgery apparently is not.
But anyway, if the guy wants to physically inhabit the world, live on the planet, occupy the mortal coil and not shift off it, then by all means, I hope that he gets his wish. Tun, speedy recovery. I hope that you will get well soon. Maybe we can actually have that second conversation we were scheduled to have before. Coincidentally, when I started asking about Lee Kuan Yew, then it was mysteriously cancelled. But jokes aside, stressful conversation. If you don't want to have it, totally fine. Godspeed to speedy recovery. Though objectively speaking, it is probably not going to be easy because a hip fracture is one of those things that you should not wish on your worst enemy. It is really, truly physical suffering that you're going to go through no matter how much medical attention that you have in this lifetime. So not something that I would wish upon anybody. Anyway, Tun, be well, stay well. You've heard a lot of people say rehat lah, Tun, dozens of times, hundreds of times, and maybe now is a good time to actually do that. But yeah, what do you think, Sapoops? Any grand thoughts about the fall of Mahathir Mohamad? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. That's all to say about that, and bye.